or conservative types doing the same thing. In walks this joker, Matt Walsh. The goal is to make pride toxic for brands. If they decide to shove this garbage in our face, they should know that they'll pay a price. It won't be worth whatever they think they'll gain. First Bud Light, and now Target. Our campaign is making progress. Let's keep it going. This man is an absolute fool. And then I like what Alexandria put in a tweet. This is it. Stochastic terrorism in a nutshell. She really got that right. And you can see on the other side, this headline, Target pulls some LGBTQ plus merchandise from stores ahead of June Pride Month after threats to workers. So you mean to tell me people who mentality is like this, they sitting up here threatening workers that are working at Target, for God's sakes? I mean, really, this is some sick stuff, y'all. And people are really, they're being hurt. People are getting hurt right now because of the likes of people like Matt Walsh and Rick Scott and others of their ilk, just playing games. They stirring up hate and otherness for no reason. And meanwhile, this war on wokeness continues to fall flat because the American people have bigger concerns to deal with. And Francesca laid out some of those concerns. And what do Democrats and Republicans view as some of the biggest problems in America today? Thinking about America today, how big of a problem are each of the following? Inflation, number one, period. All right, and we can go on and on and on, breaching the debt ceiling, border security, et cetera, but it ain't wokeness, baby. It's not that. And y'all got wokeness wrong, but I've taught that lesson in the past. I'll come back to it in another segment. And here's some words to the wise, these powerful and relevant words from the Minister Malcolm X, the one and only, that really fit this moment. And we're dealing with social media because we know technology, but the media's the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. And that's power because they control the minds of the masses. So it's not just, mainstream media. It's the fact that everybody has social media and people like this Matt Walsh dude giving him a platform of this magnitude to spew this kind of hate. It is disturbing America and is disgusting. People have a right to live their lives, and as long as it's not impeding on somebody else's, what's the preoccupation here? And then workers at some of these stores got to worry about getting beat up. Damn, America, we really, really do have a problem. And speaking of problems, because Francesca, I think we can hit one more segment before the show is over. Matt Gaetz says the quiet part out loud. As the June 1st deadline for the debt limit agreement looms, Dems have accused the GOP of holding the economy hostage. Apparently, Representative Matt Gaetz agrees. Check this out.
Would you say that the conservatives like yourself are becoming more pessimistic about the state of negotiations if, there's a bipartisan deal in sight maybe? Or how would you characterize the mood among your conservative colleagues right now?
I think my conservative colleagues, for the most part, support limit, save, grow, and they don't feel like we should negotiate with our hostage.
Wow, I mean, he really did say the quiet part out loud. That was Gaetz in his interview with Seema Force, Joseph Zeb Alos, I think I got that right. So this dude thinks it's okay to play games with the American people. No surprise there. He views millions of people as hostages of the GOP. There's something wrong with this man and these right wingers who are doing this, and they're doing it. They don't care, taking us all over the cliff. And here's some more backstory on the supposed Limit, Save, and Grow Act. Please, that title is very deceptive. The Limit, Save, Grow Act is legislation that Republicans passed in a party line vote last month, staking out their position that the debt ceiling shouldn't be raised unless rich tax cheats are protected and an axe is taken to spending on federal nutrition assistance, Medicaid, affordable housing, child care, and other key programs. Ladies and gentlemen, we're presenting to you your today's GOP. Critics were quick to call out Gaetz for the cruelty of his comments. Jeffrey Funk, spokesman for Accountable Us, was quoted as saying, a key player in the extreme MAGA House majority now admits what anyone paying attention has suspected all along. Congress Congress Republicans consider the US economy and millions of jobs a hostage while making unreasonable austerity demands that especially hurt low-income veterans and seniors. What happened to all that pro-life stuff they talk? But let's not also forget the fact that neoliberals have also been dragging their feet on this. A few members of the Senate recognize that and are urging Biden to take swift action. With negotiations between the White House and Republicans at a standstill, a growing number of congressional lawmakers, including prominent progressives such as Senator Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, are imploring President Joe Biden to use the 14th Amendment authority to unilaterally avert a default, an option the president has thus far resisted. And now we're gonna go on to what Representative Ilhan Omar pointed out, the importance of not caving to the GOP's command. Check out this tweet. Maybe he could also tell us who their hostages are. The American people, our economy, VA benefits, Social Security. Matt and the GOP are playing a dangerous game, and like every hostage situation, someone is going to be hurt. We have to rescue the American people. Francesca, in our 60 seconds left.
I mean, you can't negotiate with terrorists, right? I think it's more than, we have to save the American people. It's no, we're not going to negotiate with terrorists. And President Biden needs to say that when it comes to this debt limit BS, right? When it comes to the idea of limit, save, grow. No, you mean starve, shiver, and die. That's what you want the American people to do under your budget proposal, Republicans. So just say it openly, and President Biden needs to call them on that. Okay, so again, Democrats will come to the negotiating table every time. Why? Because they don't want people to go hungry, right? And they don't want, veterans to lose their benefits. But it is not okay to negotiate with someone who's openly saying that they're taking people hostage.
Nope, it's not okay at all. And they could have done this when they had control of in the 117th Congress, they being the Democrats. But here we are. President Joseph Biden said that he could negotiate, that he could be very bipartisan, that he could get the Republicans to do what no other president has been able to get them to do. But alas, that has not come true. This is our time today on Unbossed. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. It was a stone cold blast, and to have Francesca on such a heavy day for me, we got through it, sister. I want to thank you so much for being right by my side, and to each and every one of you, and thank you for all the comments. We were not able to get to all of them, but I'm just sending you all so much of my love. You know what I want you to do about this time. You know what we want you to do. Always, always, always keep the faith, no matter how hard life gets. Keep that faith, keep on pushing. But you know what we gotta do with faith? We gotta marry it, we gotta couple it with fight. Don't ever, ever give up the fight. Until next time.
Welcome, friends. Welcome, family. What's up, Ma? Welcome to the watch list, you guys. It's a Wednesday. It's a big news Wednesday that apparently is gonna have a big ass announcement. Not from here, but from somewhere else. So we're gonna go through all of the things that you could expect us to go through today. There's news all over the place. It's not just that, so please don't think that that's all that's going on. As a matter of fact, it's not even the first thing that I'm gonna be talking about. I'm gonna be talking about something much more important to start off. First thing is that Ben Gleib is my guest on the program today. He's a comedian, also Rebel HQ contributor all over the damn network. How you feeling, brother? What's going on with you?
Everything's all right. Everything is all right. It's good to be back. I took a little hiatus, and I'm back, man. The world is still messed up, so there's that going on.
Yeah. If you guys have been following Ben and his journey, he's been going through a lot, and I just want to shout out and send some more love to you, brother. I know we do it personally, but I want to let everyone know that Ben's a good guy, man. He'll despite what he's going through, he definitely always gives energy to everyone else. You can always sense it and feel it. Want to let us know what you've been working on, brother, since you've been out a little bit?
Sure. And I may as well, also then mention what it is, since you kindly said all that. We suddenly lost my father about 5 weeks ago, 4.5 weeks ago, and hardest thing, I've ever experienced. My family's going through a lot. He's my best friend, and so just trying to honor his memory and put life back together for my mom and me and everything, and just try to make him proud. So finally getting to the place where I'm starting to ramp up again the things I'm trying to do work-wise in this world, so I can just make him proud next level and kind of deliver the destiny of our family that I promised him that I would do on the day of his funeral. So that's what I'm trying to do. With all these things we do on TYT, everything we do here at the watch list, where I, fortunate to appear every couple weeks. And I'm still doing my fun virtual shows too. I'm doing Gleib Off the Top. We just did a tribute to my dad at the Gleib Off the Top, my virtual show at Nowhere Comedy Club worldwide last time, because my dad was my guest a couple times. He was such a funny man. He could guest on a show that only comedians were guests on. And we're doing one again on June 10th. And this will be my birthday show and the 3rd anniversary of Gleib Off the Top. Some TYT folks have been popping on lately and getting tickets and being part of our Mad Ones community. So if you want to get a ticket, just go to nowherecomedy.com or bengleib.com and be part of our weird virtual world. It's really fun.
It's a big weird family out there. Glad you guys got that going. Again, thoughts and our sympathies with you, brother, as you go through all this. And I'm glad you guys are here to join us as we get this whole thing going. It's a tough day as well. Happened when you happen to show up on the show here, Ben. It's an anniversary, one that no family would like to go through. It's May 24th. So just a year ago, Robb Elementary School was attacked by a shooter. And although many folks in this country don't talk about it anymore, specifically our politicians and our pundits, families are still dealing with it. Let's start here.
I think it's terrifying to encounter other mothers who have also lost children to gun violence, because their pain is just so evident still. It's a harsh reality to realize that it just will never get any better. I think people assume it does. I think this kind of pain never goes away. One thing I loved about Uvalde was that it was safe. It felt very safe. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people that feel that way about the town that they're living in. And this still happened, and it can happen again. It will happen again. I just hope that the words resonate. People join this fight, because it's gonna take all of us.
It's gonna take all of us. Those are the words of Kimberly Rubio, mother of Lexi Rubio. She's one of the 19 folks and 17 children that were killed a year ago today in Uvalde, Texas at Robb Elementary School. Everyone heard about this. So as you guys heard there, she said it's gonna take all of us. And it's no true words can be spoken, because the reasons why things haven't happened much since is because it hasn't been all of us. In fact, it's been a minority of us that are willing to do something about this, specifically when it comes to people who have the power to do something about this. So she talked about how this kind of thing never leaves. I keep saying this. I said it a week ago. as it was the anniversary also of the Buffalo shooting at that grocery store up in Buffalo. And those folks went through their trauma again for the rest of their lives. Some of these people that also survived are feeling some of the trauma as well. Here's an account from one teacher that decided to continue teaching despite how close she was to the violence. Let's watch that.
I am a 4th grade teacher at Uvalde Elementary. So I was anxious, never before did I ever suffer from anxieties, like never in a million years would I thought I would suffer from anxiety. But I knew that they needed me to be there. I knew the kids needed me, and that's why I went. I went for them. Nobody else but for them. So one of my kiddos made me a little card. It says, what I love about Mrs. Salas, and she made a list. And number 1 is she's funny. Number 2, she's nice. Number 3, she's kind. She's loving. She meets us and she gives us the world's best hugs ever.
Let me tell you guys what Mercedes Salas went through and the fact she's back teaching. Again, Robb Elementary is not the place, but at Uvalde, I believe, one of those other schools there. This is what she went through and reasons why this means so much to her. This is a quote from her from that day. She says, I could smell gunpowder coming into my classroom. It was super, super strong. Mercedes was in room 106. By the way, 106 was directly across the hall from rooms 111 and 112, where that gunman entered and started firing rounds with his AR-15. Quote, we heard screaming, and it was the worst screams I've ever heard, she said, becoming emotional. Then I didn't hear any screaming, and my brain is like, oh my God, he just killed them. So I heard them die. And ever since then, I still hear them at night. Mercedes says that she was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and received physical therapy for her injuries to her knees. By the way, the injuries to her knees came because when cops finally did show up and they busted out the windows and said, hurry up and come out, she crawled through that window and there was broken glass that cut her knees and her legs and multiple other body parts. And she didn't even realize it at the time. But she also was the last to leave because she wanted to make sure her children and her students were out first. Still more from that quote. Recently, she said she says workers' compensation has denied her additional treatment for her knees, and she's fighting that. That's perfect. There were also moments during the school year when she would break down after class ended at 3:15, and she was actually alone. Sometimes it's hard. It's 3:30 p.m. and I just cry for no reason, or it's 3:30 p.m. and I start smelling gunpowder at school. So I have to remind myself, you're not at Robb, you're at a new school. So it has not been the easiest times, but I'm still here for my kids. There's more of the response to this, but just off the top here, Ben, look, we have a year since this happened. We've been talking about other shootings, and it's always mass shootings, it's small shootings, it's a store shooting, it's another school shooting, it's constant like this. But I wanna start stressing more, and I've been guilty of this as well. It happens every day when it's 2 people that get shot, because the threshold has to be 4 for a mass shooting. But our gun deaths and these numbers to this are contributed to by all these other events as well, and folks with similar stories.
Yeah, we are pitiful. We're in a pitiful place as a nation. I mean, the number of mass shootings we have is a national disgrace. It makes us the laughing stock of the world, and we have to even start counting mass shootings at 4, as though 3 people being killed at once weren't a mass shooting. It's ridiculous. I spoke of my father passing away unexpectedly and how difficult that has been on our family. But at least he was an older man and somewhat near the life expectancy of human beings. And still it has been something that has been so difficult to process and recover from and try to move on with your normal life. Can you imagine exponentially how much more horrific it would be if it's your child instead of your father or mother? If it's someone at the beginning of their life that did nothing wrong ever, hadn't made their place in this world yet, and our stupid political leaders, our feckless, spineless, bought and paid for, corrupt political leaders sit there and say, oh, we can't do anything, let's not try and do anything, when there's obvious things you could do that would make obviously significant differences in the guns that kill people in these shootings getting into the wrong hands. And the only reason they don't do it is because this stupid, corrupt gun lobby pays them off. And they sold their souls. And I hope they look in the mirror and maybe one day while they're still in power, grow some gumption and some spine and change their opinion, reject that money, and do what is right.
As you point out, what feckless lawmakers, and I got to include people that talk about it, who affect and control these folks because of the narratives that they push for to help push their political careers. I want to go to what some of these folks have been saying. I want you guys to keep in mind what, again, off the top, Kimberly Rubio and her daughter Lexi, who she lost, and how she wishes something else would be done so they can change this. In fact, she even went on in other parts of that to say that she doesn't want this to happen to anyone else because it's an endless cycle of feeling that pain. Keep that in mind as we again go to some of the things that lawmakers and pundits say in response to this stuff.
We cannot allow them to emotionally hijack the narrative.
So it's a horrible, horrible situation, and we're not going to fix it.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year. A free society comes with a cost.
That's the response for these families. They don't really care. As a matter of fact, they advocate for more of it. That's just pundits, and it's also just one senator there. One representative there, Burchett in Tennessee. That's just two of them. How about a governor of an entire state where this happened? Remember, this happened, and by the way, Governor Abbott, obviously the governor of Texas. After that whole thing happened, this is what he said.
What happened in Uvalde is a horrific tragedy that cannot be tolerated in the state of Texas. Our job is multifold. First, to make sure we address exactly what happened at this crime scene. And then second, to make sure we take that information and do everything that is necessary to ensure that crime scenes like this are not going to be repeated in the future.
Governor Abbott said, do everything necessary to ensure these crime scenes are not going to be repeated. That's what he said last year, 1 year ago. You want to know what has happened in that 1 year since Governor Abbott promised to never have that happen again? Well, here's one of the things, just one small thing there. The AP reported that you remember that whole mall shooting where that couple is killed at that Texas mall along with their 3-year-old son, and they point out their perfect synergy within their family that has been destroyed forever, ever since. And there's a kid that still remains from that family that actually survived. What's gonna come of their lives? Governor Abbott doesn't care. He has nothing to do with that. By the way, there was 8 victims in that mall shooting and 7 more that were injured at least. So what has Governor Abbott done? I'm gonna tell you a couple of these things really fast. After months of pleading for more gun control measures, this is what's happening in Texas. This isn't just Abbott, it's all of them. A Democrat who represents Uvalde, where 19 children died in that mass shooting, was told by the Republican leader of the state Senate to stop bringing up gun legislation or be barred from speaking at all. We're sick of hearing about what you wanna do when it comes to people being murdered in this state. I was gonna say country, just right there in that state, even just that town. Who cares? There's more. In the past 2 years, as the state has been shaken by more than a dozen mass killings of 4 or more people, Texas has increased access to firearms, doing away with its permit requirements to carry handguns and lowering the age when adults can carry handguns from 18 to 21. And on Sunday, Governor Greg Abbott, a Republican, attended a vigil for the victims. This is back when that shooting happened at the mall, of the shooting at the shopping center. But said earlier that there would be no new effort by his administration to limit access to firearms. You know why? Because he says it wouldn't even work. So after he said we're gonna limit and try and stop these things from happening again, after it happened again, he said, I don't care. Who said something about limiting and ending these? Nothing's gonna work. Who says that? I said that so you guys can get off my effing back and stop bugging me about these dead people in my state that could have easily been prevented. There's something he's doing today though, Ben. This is from his website, from the office of the Texas governor. This is the game changer. He's looking to lower some flags to half staff. And he calls for a statewide moment of silence on the anniversary of those children being massacred in their school for going to school. Changes everything. Your last thoughts here, Ben?
Yeah, he lowers the flags instead of lowering the guns. It's so pitiful and so disgusting, and it's so obviously corruption spilling out of the mouth of these politicians when they are in power, they are in government, and they say, We can't do anything to fix it while we are in power, controlling the government. If you believe that, get the F out of government. You don't believe government can affect change, it can only affect taxes that affect your pocketbook in a positive way? Get out. Go make your money. You make plenty of money in the private sector. Let people with hearts who are willing to put their emotions, their values, and their actions on the line to make change. If not, get out of the damn way. You have blood on your hands if you don't.
Let's go ahead and jump to this next story, you guys. Just always remember the victims and the families of these types of things. It never, ever ends. Next story, there's things going on today that has been hitting the headlines, and despite the fact that what we were talking about just a minute ago, Ron DeSantis, he's finally showing up. Let's watch.
They call it faith because in the face of darkness, you can see that brighter future. A faith that our best days lay ahead of us. But is it worth the fight? Do I have the courage? Is it worth the sacrifice? America has been worth it every single time.
Oh my God, Ron DeSantis is maybe gonna possibly, but probably, yeah, sure, announced finally for his candidacy for run for president. Of course, gonna join that building field on the Republican side. There was that weird video though of him coming from the back room. I guess that's usually like maybe like a stage and you had a curtain there, but it's a huge American flag instead. Cool. But there's definitely some energy behind it. He's coming out to have an awkward conversation with someone, I suppose. But Casey DeSantis, as you guys maybe have seen there, his wife did post that with a little bit of like a teaser here. Maybe you don't know what's going on. She goes, America is worth the fight every single time. Oh man, we don't know exactly what she's talking about. But it was announced just a day before that DeSantis is going to go ahead and announce his candidacy here today, maybe even like 45 minutes or so on Twitter. Sources familiar confirmed to Fox News that the popular conservative governor will declare that he's a candidate for president at 6 o'clock Eastern during a conversation with Elon F. and Musk on Twitter. Musk and DeSantis will host this event on Twitter Spaces, the site's platform for audio chats, in case you guys don't know about that, on Wednesday again, and it'll be moderated by David Sachs. He's a tech entrepreneur who is a Musk confidant and a DeSantis supporter all around. They're gonna be pushing this guy like crazy. Along with this announcement though, DeSantis is expected to file paperwork with the FEC and officially launch that presidential campaign. And then the fight is going to commence, by the way. And Casey again with one more tweet because it's very fun, it's an exciting time. I'm sure they're very excited about it. This is her last tweet. She says it's gonna be big if true. We already know it. It's been like a year we've been expecting this, Casey. Does he have a chance here, Ben? What's going on? What should he do? How does he get in this race and shake these narratives about him?
He's already doing it and he does have a chance. And I can't believe that a man as mean-spirited and evil as him is somebody that I hope beats somebody else. I hope that he beats Trump because he's not as bad as Trump, but he's very, very bad. But it just shows you how full of crap every politician and their spouse seems to be. His wife is tweeting, huge if true. She knows it's true and she's publicly going out, just don't tweet. She knows it's true and she's saying, I'm not sure if it's true. Oh really, were you not clued in on this very elaborate plan that's been happening for months and months? We have a very stupid, and I believe he actually already did just file the paperwork. And this is paperwork that I have filed in the past, again, evidencing just how broken our government, how backward our government is. To run for president of the United States, you have to fill out FEC forms 1 and 2, and you have to turn in form 2 before form 1. Why they wouldn't call that form 1 and form 2 proves to you have to sign up from the very beginning to be part of a complete SHI whatever show that is just ass backwards from minute 1. That video was weird and creepy. Why was there a British voice? I thought it's supposed to be America first from these guys. DeSantis waddles out there, pauses for a second, then waddles really quickly and nervously to the curtain. That's the best footage they could find of this horrible influence in our society. I hope he and Trump arm wrestle and mud wrestle each other off a cliff.
Well, maybe it'll happen when they get to debating, if it gets to that point. I'm not sure how much DeSantis is banking on Trump having some more legal issues, maybe having some more arraignments and arrests. Who knows? But that would be a curious thing.
The crowd. Not only will that happen, Trump's going to be held up he's going to have to host the debates in the courthouse. But seeing DeSantis and Trump debate, there better not be anybody sitting within 30 feet because all of their eyes will be poked out with DeSantis copying Trump hands and Trump hands flying. It's a very dangerous place to be. Bring goggles.
The only safe space is far enough away where their little hands can't get to anyone at all. One more thing though, I do want to play this because Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking about it, and you might be a little surprised. You won't be, as her response to it and what it is that she thinks Ron DeSantis is up to and why he's doing it. Watch.
You don't announce that you're running for president of the United States in some kind of little Twitter world. It's not a real world. Twitter is not real. So I can't comprehend why that would be the place to do the announcement. It makes no sense to me, and it's not serious.
It's absolutely not serious. The Twitter world, that non-real world, which, okay, cool, yeah, because there's a lot of fake things going on Twitter. But last I checked, maybe it's changed since. Last I heard, Marjorie Taylor Greene was very active on Twitter, that non-real world, saying the real world things that she looks to do, talking about her stupid podcast and talking about the people she wants to impeach, and then her crazy actions within Congress. She's not really doing anything in Congress. She's just promoting herself everywhere else that she goes. But Twitter is this non-real space. But I do give her this. If they're trying to appeal to all these older folks, the Fox News crowds and all that, they may not really be able to understand where the hell Twitter Spaces is. They may not be able to find it. I gotta point that one part out there. But also, lastly, you guys, graphic 7 here. We don't have to go to 8, but it's definitely people expecting to see what Trump would say finally when this happens. And honestly, I was expecting more, really fast. He says, "Look, Rob," he called him Rob, the sanctimonious. I guess he's robbing people. I'm not sure. Came asking me for help. He was losing badly. This is a regurgitated story. Stop me if you've heard this before. He's losing badly by 31 points to popular agriculture commissioner Adam Putnam. He was getting ready to drop out of the race. Ran a terrible campaign. Ron told me he had one last chance. My support and endorsement in capitals for some reason, which Putnam and everyone else wanted also. I gave it to Ron, and the race is over. In one day, he went from losing badly to winning by a lot with 3 large Trump rallies. He won the general election in an upset. Disloyal. So he's disloyal for actually running for president. I can't wait for the fights to begin. Fine, let's wait for the fights to begin before I talk about his ass anymore. Last thoughts, Ben, we're gonna go to break and see what the people have to say.
Yeah, I mean, Trump is just being Trump. He also keeps calling him DeSanctimonious, which none of his supporters know what the word sanctimonious means. He's missing, in my opinion, the obvious good nickname, which would be Ron the Ass Kiss. I feel like that is much more digestible. I hope Trump runs with that, but I have very few hopes about Trump. But as to Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is definitely all over Twitter, but it is a serious place. It can be, and it can be a total nightmare as well, a nightmare landscape. But it speaks to me further again how the true intentions of what Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter is about. It's not about giving free speech to everybody, making it the public square. It's about Elon Musk dictating the future and controlling not only outer space and vehicle transportation, but also making sure, and our brains and chips in our brains, but also who we elect president. I mean, he already came out and said he would be supporting DeSantis, I believe, and then now he's hosting. You can't be the mayor of the town square and then also putting your thumb on the scale to that degree and telling people who to endorse. And I think that alone will make DeSantis come out very strong in the polls. And so people that have commented on DeSantis being done before he's out the gates are just have no idea what they're talking about, because once you announce, that's when the polls are going to start being real.
Yeah, there's too many hateful people in this country to let this guy slip too far. Let's take this break though, you guys. When we do get back though, there was a curious situation happen again down in Texas, but in the Texas State House. Odd behavior that has now been explained, and I was fooled by it too. It's crazy. Let's do that when we get back.
All right, well, the Young Turks special election day coverage dropping. An amazing power panel.
Look at this panel. You want to talk about power?
It's like a smart Destiny's Child.
We're all too strong. We spun a revolution. Yes, another one.
Aren't you excited?
Wow. And then Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, everybody. Yay!
You know, this is where it started in a lot of ways.
Why is he lying? Because these are acts that you can commit with impunity.
Most of us are usually in boxer shorts underneath.
I went with the pants today.
This is the first ever power panel with Donald Trump as president.
We have elected the top Twitter troll in the country.
We have to stop pretending that race is not an issue in this country.
Now keep in mind, racism had gone away until Barack Obama brought it back.
That's right.
They want to protect life so much that they want to ensure that insurance companies don't cover your maternity care. You don't see a lot of news coverage in the mainstream media of the peaceful Black Lives Matter protests that happened throughout the country.
Black Americans are hurting. Minorities in this country are hurting.
We always talk about starting from the bottom up, but the problem is the bottom up is always the least amount of power. No one cares about them, and until someone actually cares about them, then we'll do something about it.
Please, for God's sake, America, understand, acknowledge, and work towards getting to a new reality where Black lives actually matter.
Watch this, everyone. Let's go ahead and jump to this next story, you guys. We'll speak soon. This is going down in Texas.
Mr. Speaker, I move adoption.
Mr. Campbell sent an amendment. The amendment is acceptable to the author. Is there objection to the opposite amendment? The chair has none. The amendment is adopted. The chair recognizes Mr. Johnson of Harris. Mr. Johnson of Harris to speak in opposition to the bill.
It's not right. You want Niave? Chair recognizes Ms. Niave Criado to speak in opposition.
The chair recognizes Ms. Niave Criado to speak in opposition to the bill.
Wait, what? That's Dade Phelan. He's the Texas House Speaker and Republican. He was presiding over the ceremony there at the end of last week, and people got to wondering what the hell is going on. And some people figured he was drunk. I was a little concerned about bringing this up because I thought he was suffering some kind of medical condition as he's falling over there and can barely say anything. Apparently, it was drunk is the problem. That's what was going down. He's absolutely effed up. They're presiding over what was supposed to be important business for the state. I guess they don't think it's very important. Really fast, let's jump down to this first graphic here because Attorney General Ken Paxton was all over it. And he said, yo, drunk? That's a problem. We're gonna get to how big of a problem that is in a second, but this is what he said. Said Speaker Dade Phelan should resign, a fellow Republican. How does this work? He says after much consideration, it's with profound disappointment that I call on Dade Phelan to resign at the end of this legislative session. It also said that Texans were dismayed to witness his performance doing this and drunk off his ass. But still, he says he hopes Speaker Phelan will get the help he needs. Sure he does, sure he does. Because apparently he's gonna have to ask for some more help from other folks around. Because by the way, Paxton also wrote this letter to the State House's General Investigation Committee Chairman, Andrew Murr, asking for an official investigation. Yo, Paxton is all over this guy. You guys wanna know why? Let's go to graphic number 4 here and I'll tell you why. There's also bad blood between Phelan and the Attorney General because there was a very public incident a few months ago where Phelan made the statement to the state government that they should not pay the settlement amount for the settlement that the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, reached with disgruntled staffers who accused him of misconduct. And Ben, I mentioned this a second ago, I had completely forgotten about this. Apparently there was an investigation into Ken Paxton, the guy who was calling for Phelan to resign. Years-long alleged misconduct some of the stuff he was doing was alleged securities fraud. Also faced a separate federal investigation over alleged abuse of office. Staffers are upset, multiple ones. We're talking about the things that he's doing. And so now he's coming out hardcore against Phelan today. And Phelan was wondering why today? Well, they're bringing the whole thing up again today. That article that I read that headline from is dated today. So since I forgot about it, which I'm sure other folks did too, he's like, I think I might need to get this heat off of my back and go back to this other deplorable human being who's misrepresenting and also playing games with the people's time in Texas as well. So the battle is now on. But there's one other aspect of this. I want you to respond to this second video here, Ben, because who was drunk again in Texas State House outside of Phelan? Apparently there's more. Let's watch this.
Recognize Mr. Guerin to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this just shortens the deadline for PUC to approve electric project from 1 year to a half year. I move passage, and I don't want y'all standing up.
That's definitely some drunk laughter that we've all been there. As a matter of fact, this video it went down at the end of April. And the interaction was going on like this. But then an hour later, that same date Phelan that we started this whole story with hinted that there was alcohol being served when this was happening. Speaker, quote, members, whatever they're serving in the lounge, don't eat it or drink it. I don't know what's going on here today with a beer glass, hashtag Texas legislator. They're taking their jobs very seriously here, Ben. Let's watch one more before you jump in, because I think these are very illustrative.
I wanted to know whether you have been timed on your speed of running down the middle aisle and around and over to your desk last session, because I'm pretty sure it was a world record.
Do you know what it is that you happen to share with Representative Ana Maria Ramos?
I drink heavily. I don't recall.
Chair, recognize Mr. Leach to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this issue is relating to raising the lower age for juveniles who are in the state's care. I do have an amendment.
The following amendment, the clerk will read the amendment.
You're not the clerk.
Amendment by Leach.
The chair recognizes Mr. Leach to explain the amendment.
Thank you, members. This amendment makes a few minor changes to the bill as filed. First, it makes sure to raise the lower age across all relevant codes by adding the language into the education code, the penal code, and the code of criminal procedure. I said penal code.
Well, these are the folks who are passing laws that just lowered gun access to AR-15s, AK-47s, all that from 21 to 18. That continue to take away people's rights, but have a couple shots before you go outside and do that too.
Jayar, I don't blame them. I mean, if you had to make laws in Texas, a lawless place where they're closer to the Wild West than they are to modern life, would you not be drinking? I'd be drinking constantly. I'm tempted to drink one just covering this story. Right. I mean, these people are just out their damn minds, and it's a real crapshoot whether it made sense for the Attorney General Paxton to come at Phelan like this, trying to divert from his own scandals, or if it just brought more attention like we're throwing him right now to his own scandals. That's a hard one. You might be forgetting also that Paxton had previously been indicted on securities fraud. That's another scandal he's got that we're talking about right now because he's coming at dude for being drunk. Listen, I don't think it's good to be drunk on the floor of any house job. Most jobs you should not be drunk for, except my usual job of stand-up comedian, where it is heavily encouraged, and you get free drunks and people, free drinks, free drinks, and people buy you drinks, and they get very upset if you don't drink during your work. Other jobs you shouldn't do it, but it ain't as bad as mistreating your staff, and it ain't as bad as securities fraud. So I'd say Phelan one demerit, and Paxton like about 12.
Well, I just had, this is water, I promise.
I bet that's water.
Apparently Dade is feeling drunk. I'm sorry, I've been drinking, you guys.
Yeah, yours is water, and this also, obviously, is just a container of water.
It's quite low, I'm gonna have to point out.
I'm gonna refill it, don't worry.
No, it means it's been
water in crystal decanters. inherited from my grandparents.
Absolutely, it's a beautiful water dispense water bottle you've got there. It's fancy though. I enjoy that.
I have announced my candidacy for Texas state legislature.
You'd landslide.
I'm Johnny Walker, and I expect your vote.
Drunkenness abound. Let's go to this next story. This woman does not have to be drunk to say insane things. Matter of fact, she's been saying it over and over and over again. The result always ends the same though. Let's go.
You know, if you can't beat Donald Duck, how are you going to beat Donald Trump? I think that's the question we have to ask when it comes to Governor DeSantis. And I think he should stay in Florida and continue fighting for the people there and try to finish that fight. I'd rather see President Trump, who's a deal maker who can make things happen, take on woke corporations.
Taking on woke corporations. This is a story about irony. There is Kari Lake talking about what Ron DeSantis shouldn't be taking on in the state of Florida because he keeps losing and he keeps losing. And man, this guy keeps losing. Apparently, Donald Duck, he loses Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Goofy, anybody else. Who's it? Pluto, all of them, he's losing to all of them. And Kari Lake, she's no effing loser. So obviously she's backing Donald Trump, hoping for that vice presidential nod if he wins the nomination. She went on talking about how bad Ron DeSantis is and how much of a loser he is. Keep that in mind, he's a loser. Watch.
This whole idea of the fight that is going on down here in Florida between Governor DeSantis and Disney, I mean, it represents so much for conservatives. I mean, they love what DeSantis is doing, kind of muting Disney a little bit against all their woke nonsense. And Trump somehow kind of got behind Disney a little bit on that. Do you think it's something that maybe he should, I don't know, move move a little bit in favor of against Disney and in favor of DeSantis, or am I missing something?
Well, Eric, I believe that fighting woke is a worthy cause. Absolutely. There are a few things more important, honestly, than stopping the radical indoctrination and, frankly, the sexual mutilation of our children. But we can't do it half-assed. When you pick a fight with Disney, you need to play to win. And so far, Governor DeSantis has been outworked and outmaneuvered by Disney. As far as I know, Reedy Creek still exists. They're still hosting trans events at their park. This indoctrination is continuing, and they're actually rubbing it in the faces of American families.
Understand some of this wording. She still understands that Reedy Creek still exists. So apparently Ron DeSantis is supposed to destroy everything about this corporation, but also that there's trans events happening. You also destroy those folks too. What exactly would the plan be? Eliminate, eradicate? Who knows? But anytime someone brings that up, they'll go, I didn't say that. I just said they shouldn't exist. What's the matter with you? Again, I talked about the irony and how much of a loser Ron DeSantis is, which I would agree to a degree. He's losing this battle, I think, considering some of the things that Disney has done in response. But there's this one small blip about the messenger in this whole thing. From CNN, they point out that Arizona judge rejects, probably for the 8th time, Kari Lake's final 2022 election lawsuit. She keeps trying, bro, and she keeps on losing. This ruling was on Monday evening after a 3-day trial last week. And the judge there, Peter Thompson, found that Lake's team did not present clear and convincing evidence or preponderance of evidence that misconduct was committed in last fall's Arizona election. So in 2030, when she's still fighting over this whole thing, they'll do it again. Hopefully this is the actual final one, Ben.
I mean, she and Trump should just rule the United States of Arizona together in a newly announced park within Disneyland, and everybody wins except the losers that are Trump and Lake and everybody who attends that horrible park, which at least will have no lines while you wait to get in, because you can just break right into the attraction through the windows and be called an American patriot and a hero. I mean, she is a traitor. Trump is a traitor. Every time they claim an election loss, they're traitors. And the fact that somehow half of the country basically believes that the most pressing issue we face is wokeness, is companies trying to just listen to people. Do they overdo it sometimes? Sure. But if that's the biggest problem, that they're trying to listen to and be respectful and inclusive of groups of people, and that trans people wanting equal rights is the biggest issue facing us, when literally long-held women's rights are being ripped away, when children are being gunned down at schools, when our economy is in trouble, when the world order is in trouble with wars and conflicts brewing, and that's the issue that all they ever want to talk about is that. It's ridiculous. And I will end on this ponderance, if I may. If Carrie Lake is so anti-trans, then what's with the boy haircut, girl?
It always crosses over. They never really know. I mean, also when I look, Marge's boyfriend apparently was in drag. All of them do it, and they're very comfortable because it's fun.
If she's so against people identifying as they want and presenting as they want, then go traditional feminine, go long hair and 1950s Betty Draper dress and high heels and stay in the kitchen there, Carrie. Stop talking on television. If you're so into traditional roles, just please bake me a cake and shut the hell up.
Better not catch her in the pantsuit. It's weird how these hypocritical folks always don't do the stuff they tell everyone else to do. Also, never look into her background, whether or not she was ever on birth control. My goodness. Let's skip the E-block.
Let's pray. I don't want more. I don't want more of her anywhere. So that's the one thing I would pay for her birth control.
Apparently not if you're in Lauren Boebert's district, because you guys heard about that too. It's apparently so expensive that she had a third child. Good job, big. I'm glad the kid's here. Let's jump to the F block, you guys. I really wanted to talk about this, and I'm going to give you some breathing room to chime in here, Ben. Let's see what's going on. It's May. It's nearing the end of May, and June is coming. The most dreaded month for conservatives. Pride Month is coming. Hide your kids, or don't go to Target.
Disgusting. That's devil worship. That's devil worship.
This right here. These are baby clothes. They say that grooming isn't happening, then why are there pride baby onesies? Trans people will always exist. This is the ugliest shirt I've ever seen.
OV, you take your kid to Target.
This is cool. Queen. Queens take care of each other.
Where's the straight section for straight kids?
Indoctrination of kids, and you're like behind.
There's a bunch of folks who have nothing else to do with their lives except for go and harass people and tear down displays in Target stores, because that's, I guess, fun to do. Here comes June, here comes Pride Month, here comes corporations and companies looking to sell things. That's weird, looking to sell things to folks who will buy them. But now we've got folks talking about these evil baby clothes, words on a shirt that apparently offend them because they're words that describe folks that exist. Oh my God, how horrible is that? And now they're all over it. In fact, as you saw at the back in there, yelling at some employees because apparently it's their fault. His decisions made to sell things in a retail store. It's crazy. What the retail store is doing now is what's making news. Target has announced that it's moved its pride displays to the back of some of the stores in the South and will remove certain items from its pride collection following complaints and violent confrontations from some of these customers. Here's some more video.
You know, people get on my nerves, so why somebody came in complaining about the first thing they see when they come to Target was a pride station. Complaints upper management folded like a pretzel. And they made my girl right here move the whole section, well, not by herself, but they had to help her. That whole section was full of pride clothes and had to go to the back of the store because guests didn't want to see it. So look at my friend here, moving all their pride stuff. Offended. Shame on them people.
So they shifted some things, moved them to the back of the store. I guess those employees had a little bit of fun with it, at least since they had to keep shifting things like that. But here's the Target statement on it. Because look, as I mentioned, those employees there were, it looks like it was a little bit of a humorous approach to it, what they have to be doing. But it's serious, some of the things that they're facing. So for more than a decade, this is the Target statement. For more than a decade, Target has offered an assortment of products aimed at celebrating Pride Month. For more than a decade, keep that in mind because this keeps happening with folks who think this is brand new. Since introducing this year's collection, we've experienced threats impacting our team members' sense of safety and well-being while at work. And given these volatile circumstances, we're making adjustments to our plans, including removing items that have been at the center of the most significant confrontational behavior. Our focus now is on moving forward with our continuing commitment to the LGBTQIA+ community and standing with them as we celebrate Pride Month and throughout the year. So Ben, it looks like they're trying to make sure they still let folks know that are happy about their approach to at least selling again to people who maybe are interested in certain clothing and whatever else is there, keychains. I don't even know what it is they're selling. You know why I don't know what they're selling? Because I'm not there to buy that stuff. It's a really simple thing, but they're still looking to make sure those people know that they're, as far as the approach of the hatred that's coming their way, that they're not siding with them. They're just trying to protect their team members from some of this violent terrorists that keep running the stores and making threats upon their bodies or their lives. But this is the way this is now going on in the United States of America. And we've got these folks now running from these terrorists. There's more to this, but just initial thoughts here.
I think this issue is a little bit more complicated than maybe it seems at first blush, because obviously these right wingers going into these stores and destroying displays are horrible, monstrous idiots. And taking down a rainbow on top of a display saying "Take Pride" is just so stupid. Plus the guy's wearing bright blue shoes. I mean, kind of I don't know, it seems like an LGBTQ friendly look right there. But on the flip side, I don't believe baby clothes should have gender or sexuality based sayings on them. This is a baby. I don't think a baby should be used as a billboard for things they don't understand or will not experience for decades to come. I don't think it should be talking about queer on the shirt of a child or trans people, anything about trans, because there's not shirts for children that say straight or that normalize being straight either. I thought we tried to keep children out of our political debates, out of our contentious social issues, and let them just have cowboys and mermaids and whatever fun dinosaurs and superheroes they want on their shirts, and let them be innocent a little longer. I don't think they should be used as conveyor belts for conveying messages that they can't understand and should not need to be exposed to for a long time coming. So I do agree that could be an unnecessary exposure. I don't know if indoctrinating is the word, but for them to things they should be no part of. Displays for adults, general rainbows, vibes, making people feel welcome is wonderful, but I think we should keep slogans off of toddlers' clothing as well.
This is the beautiful part about this, Ben. You can have that opinion. And the difference is you don't force people to then conform to your opinion and then go in the store and say, how dare you put that queer on a shirt? Therefore, I'm gonna threaten your life because you put that on a shirt. I've seen things on babies' clothes and onesies before. In fact, my wife said it and it annoys her all the time. There's a little cute baby and then people walk up to him and go, oh, you're gonna have to beat the boys off from her when she's older. Why are you talking about my baby and potential boys trying to have sex with her? Why? This child is 2 months old. It happens all the time. But when it's a straight thing where people say, hey, that baby's gonna have to be think about your child having sex. You just had it. But let's think about how the kind of sex your child's gonna be having. We do it. We sexualize children all the time.
This is true. And I don't, I'm not an expert on children's clothing. If it's pretty common to have like baby's shirts for a boy that says lady killer or something, or ladies man, then I do think it's totally fair game to have ones that are containing LGBTQ slogans. And regardless, you're right what you said. I can have an opinion, as can they, but to go into a store in a free market that they claim to hold so dear and tell them that they cannot have it and impose their will by making threats or tearing stuff down, no. Do it with the free market that you hold so dear. Don't buy those items. You can even boycott the store if you want.
Yeah, that's fine, bro. Just like I said, there was the Bud Light issues. There was the whatever, anything else they're going after. I don't drink Bud Light either, but that's just for other reasons.
I do. I love it. It's the best beer.
We did talk about that. You're right. Strike one, Ben. Strike one. But no. It's so yeah. You can have your opinion, have your thought process. It's the anger and the energy. And then, by the way, now many of these folks are now inspired by this decision from Target, and they're saying, "Well, this is great. Keep the pressure going." So of course, and again, I'm not faulting Target. There's people who are mad at Target, and they said they folded to these terrorists, and I agree. These are terroristic activities, but they're looking to protect their employees. It's one of those situations where it's the lesser of two evils, and they move the stuff to the back. But now that stories are out about them moving them to the back, guess where the bigots and the hateful people are gonna go and destroy more things and start threatening more employees to the back of the store. The folks who say, I'm sick of seeing this in my face, and you keep throwing it at me, continue to look for it. It's weird how that works.
It's true, and also it's the back of the store is worse. It's a much more dangerous place to have controversial items because there's not a lot of eyeballs in the back of a store. Also, just the imagery of that. You should decide to keep something or don't, but moving something to the back and saying it's still equal does not seem like it doesn't have a history in this country.
Absolutely, and you know, in many cases, as far as they can, they're trying to push things back to the good old days. There's other folks. They're also targeting this trans designer that put forward some quote satanic target pride types of things. So there he is as well. So he's also getting death threats because that's how we solve things in this country. That's how you make sure you're an open and tolerant society. Oh no, they don't want that. One last story, you guys. You guys know I have issues with bears quite consistently. Is one main reason outside of the insanity of Florida that I try to avoid Florida as much as possible. And when I am there, I'm watching out for things like this. This is a very graphic video to a degree, you guys. But a man got caught up with one of their creatures that just roams neighborhoods. It's a wild place down there. Let's watch this.
In the water, get the Hey, come here. Come here, bro. Hey.
This nigga got bit by an alligator, bro. This nigga, what the
My hand.
His whole arm came off, bro.
There is one man who found himself outside the back of a bar restaurant just, I guess, early this week, maybe over the weekend. He was attacked by an alligator. And there he is going through all the pain. This is at the Banditos bar in Port Charlotte, Florida. Apparently there's a swamp just right behind open places here. It's a wild place down there. The folks did actually catch this alligator and discovered it was the exact same one that attacked this man. Here's what they tweeted out. This gator was caught. Trappers captured this 10.5-foot gator near a pond behind Banditos bar on Sunday afternoon. And the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission said it's the same gator. The victim here was 23 years old, and it was 1:45 in the morning. So he's out there hanging out. Again, it's a bar. Maybe he was intoxicated and found himself in areas he didn't want to be in any other time. His name is Jordan Rivera. As pointed out, he did end up losing his arm after he got to the hospital. Those folks helped wrap it up and save it to a degree there, but they ended up losing it when he was in the hospital. Here he is in the hospital talking about it. You might be surprised at his response to what happened to him.
I didn't lose my life, lost an arm. It's not the end of the world.
It's that attitude, that outlook on life that stands out about Jordan Rivera. His mother is too.
That's the best thing is that I have him. Like, yes, arm gone, very traumatic, but he's here.
An alligator attacked Jordan early Sunday morning, biting off his right arm and nearly taking his life.
They got my elbow, so I don't have an elbow, but I can still move my arm around and whatnot.
Jordan doesn't remember much of what happened. What he does recall is that the bar he was at, Banditos in Port Charlotte, was busy and the bathroom line was long. So he walked to the pond out back.
I just saw a little lake, just trying to go over there and just, take a little pee or whatnot. Something happened where I either tripped or like something, the ground below me kind of just went down and I ended up in the water. And that's literally the last thing I remember.
Bathroom breaks will lead to these types of things, Ben. There's more you have to say, but first, that first part. I know you're ready.
Yes, this is true. I gotta say, he's a lucky man in more ways than one. You go pee into an alligator-filled lake, he's lucky you just lost the arm. Keep that in mind.
First thought.
Could have had, first thought for you as well, I'm sure. Secondly, frightening experience. His attitude is great. I hope to recover the arm, they looked inside that alligator and they were able to identify it on account of his mood ring he was wearing on his finger, which mood probably ended on terrified. It's probably like a bright purple on that mood ring when they retrieved that.
I can't have you on shows.
Shows in general or just ones with?
I guess tragic events. Arms have lost.
This is not tragic. The guy himself doesn't think it's tragic. Look, true. I've had several experiences with alligators in Florida. There was one in the pond right behind my hotel a few years ago. I was doing stand-up. I would literally feed him French fries. I would feed him French fries and dessert. And I was shooting a web series. I went to Gator World in Florida. And because we were shooting there, they had us go onto the performance area. I sat on an alligator, held his neck. Here's a hot tip for your audience. If you ever see an alligator, sit on their back. If you hold their neck down tight, they can hiss, but they can't get you. But if you don't hold their neck, they're very flexible. They can bend all the way back and kill you even if you're on them. So you got to hold their neck tight. I put a t-shirt on that alligator and then went to this little part called Gator Island and literally faced up a 15-foot alligator. He was a little elderly, I think. The guy's like, go up to him. I kind of fronted like I was about to fight up to him. That alligator backed up and went in the water. I was stomping around like I was the king of Gator Island, and an angry alligator swam up and tried to jaws of life slapped down right on me, and I ran off of that rickety bridge and got out for safety. So I know alligators more than your average TYT commentator, dude.
How is it you never told me that you decided to fight alligators?
This is just one of many stories in my life you don't know about me yet, JR. We gotta hang out one of these days. Ask for the family for a break. Come over to my house, and I'll regale you with some marijuana, empty whiskey, and stories.
Your birthday is coming up, but I mean, if there's gators out in the pond behind it, I mean, there's gonna be some second thoughts. Just gonna put that out there.
My pool's only got baby gators. They're friendly.
That's enough for me. Thanks, Ben, for being on the show. We're gonna take we'll do some more gator wrestling, and we'll take some video and make sure we show the people the correct techniques. We're gonna get you for next week. Ben is on next week. Don't keep it real. He's back. We're gonna have more stories like this that'll terrify the hell out of me. Thank you, Ben, for joining me. I hope you enjoy your rest of your week as we go into this. Also, thank you guys for being here with me as well on a big news Wednesday. Since it's Wednesday, you guys know the Young Turks are up next. Anna Kasparian will be leading that first hour solo. John Idarola jumps in for the second. We'll see you guys tomorrow.